So Hungary is a gorgeous country. I love it. I immediately fell in love with how green it was. Like as I was looking at pictures when I was preparing to go, I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be gorgeous. Fantastic place. I actually got there. I arrived in Hungary in the middle of winter. It was actually a few days before New Year's. And so it was very wet. It was very gray looking all the time. So it wasn't quite what I had seen pictures of, but it was still beautiful. There were still parts of it that I was like, wow, this is great. And so, yeah, Hungary has all 4 seasons. They have summer, fall, winter, spring. They have it all. And it's a pretty humid climate. Even though they're not right by the ocean or anything, it is fairly humid. They have the Duna, or the Danube River, that runs through Budapest and cuts down through Hungary. There's the Tisza River. They have the Balaton. So they have bodies of water. They have rivers. And so in the summer, it gets hot. It gets really, really hot. And so even though the temperature may be at a certain degree, just because it's humid, you just feel it so much more and you're just sweating. And so that was something that you had to work with, that you had to just bear it in the summer. Most of the places don't have air conditioning. That's just something they don't invest in. A lot of the people don't. And so the only places I ever would have air conditioning was either at the mission home, or if we owned our own meeting homes, then we were sure to have air conditioning in them. But if we were just renting a facility, chances are you didn't have it. You didn't have air conditioning. The businesses wouldn't usually have it. So that was interesting, something to adjust to. So my companion and I, during the summer when I was in Hungary, we had just this little fan that we would take around our apartment with us. If we were studying in the front room, then we would have it in there. If we were in the kitchen, we'd take it into the kitchen. If we were going to bed at night, we'd put it up in the window. We'd open our window and then put the fan there. And so that was how we kept cool most of the time. So yeah, it gets fairly hot. I didn't ever really keep track because there wasn't a way to always know how hot it really was, but I just knew it was hot. Autumn was beautiful. Winter, kind of like summer, it gets really cold. So even though the degree is maybe something, it just feels that much colder. It just goes right through your clothes and to the bone. So layers were huge. So for sisters, I would just recommend having layers. Like, it's good to have a nice big coat, but it would be good to have cardigans and other jackets that you can layer with, so that way when you do go into buildings, you'll still have different layers on underneath that big coat, or when you're meeting with people in their homes. And so layers were huge. So it can be hard, depending on what time of year you're going to Hungary, to know exactly what you want to buy for the seasons. Where I went in the winter, it was important that I already had my winter clothes, that I had my boots and tights and sweaters and everything. But for those that go in the summer, I don't know if I'd recommend it, but an idea would be just to wait to buy your winter clothes until you actually get to Hungary, see what the members have, talk to them, get advice, be like, what kind of boots, or where should I shop for this? And so then that way you can really get what is best for the climate there. So that way you don't end up packing a bunch of things over to Hungary and realize it's not good enough, or that you have too much or something like that. But yeah, it snows, it rains a lot. I loved the rainstorms. Loved the rainstorms. In the summer you get a lot of rain and thunder and lightning and all of that, and it's just so fun. I'm just a fan of the rain, in and of itself. So when it was there, I just, it was so great. So yeah, the climate, they have pretty much everything, a bit of everything. They don't really have many mountains, but they do have hills. In some cities they'll claim that the hills are mountains, and they're pretty close, but compared to Utah, it doesn't compare, but they do have that. They do have some big hills / mountains in some areas, depending on where you're serving. But other than that, it's pretty flat. There's a lot of flat land out there. In the northeastern part of Hungary, you'll find a lot of farmland. I'm sure they still have a lot of that out in the west is short as well, but there's an area called Hortobágy, and there's some surrounding villages and cities out there where they do have a lot of farms, ranches, and stuff like that. So, and of course there's the big cities. So yeah, they have a lot of everything.